How's everybody doing?
Good.
Cool. I know it's a little bit of a unusual time for me. I'm usually doing this at 1. Little change up here. So yeah, I just got the Facebook live stream going. And today I was going to be going over customizing your consumer experience. So basically working with your website and consumer app. And probably over the last week or so, couple weeks, they've had a few new changes that I thought were pretty exciting, and I want to be able to go over those today. So I'm going to get started by sharing my screen, and I'm going to go into my command, and I'm just going to log out real quick so you can see the site here, agent.kw.com. It's where I always start. And just as another quick heads up, if you were having issues getting into Command earlier today, they had a bit of a Google server error that essentially created an outage across the whole country. So they got that fixed. It got resolved a little earlier, and we're good to go. We're back online. So where I'm going to get started today, I'm going to be working with the consumer app and the agent website. And before I get into any of that, I want to just go over real quickly my marketing profile. So anytime I'm working with any of my agent website or consumer functionality, I just want to make sure that my actual profile is completely set up. So that way, it's going to auto-populate into all my consumer experience stuff like my app and website. So I'm in my settings and I want to go to marketing profile here. And under marketing profile, you're going to see my my profile image. Then I can go into any of my contact details here as well. So all that good stuff you can fill out here. And once you update this, you can actually use it to brand your agent site as well, which is awesome. And as you can see here, I do have my Market Center brokerage information and logo. And I also have some of my social media accounts here. And then all the way at the bottom is my app link. So I'm going to show you where you can also access this, because then you can also copy and paste it into your marketing profile going forward. Just going to save that. Good to go. And if I stop every now and then, it's typically because I'm just making sure that I'm letting people in as I do this, which I see there's somebody who just popped in. So let me see if I can just fix this real quick. All right, that's good. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down to consumer, and we're going to get started there. Now, under the consumer applet here, which is on the bottom left, it's literally the last one you can access. Once you click on that, you're going to have 3 different options available currently: landing pages, agent site pages, guide builder. So under agent site pages, this is where you can essentially manage the pages that you put onto your website. The guide builder here is where you can manage the buyer seller guides that would appear within your consumer app for your clients. And it also will appear on your agent site as well. So that's something they added probably about a month or 2 ago, where you can actually view your buyer seller guides through your agent sites now, which is also very useful. And then one thing I'm also going to show when I get into the guide builder is the affordability calculator that they just added, which is also really awesome. And that's something we can also add into our guides now as well. And just letting some people in here. I don't know what's up with my controls today. It's not giving me like my average. Let me see.
I think that's been going on all day with phones and computers.
Yeah, like I usually have my participant list here that I can look at, but anyway, that's fine. I'll just stop every now and then to see if anybody are coming in. Okay, cool. So let's get started. So basically from here, I'm in my consumer applet. Now there's also right here, there's a setting called site and app settings. And that's going to bring me into some of the more back-end stuff that I can customize. And recently they added a few new options in here as well that I thought were pretty exciting. Right in here, you can also manage your virtual tours. So again, if I had any listings that I wanted to add in virtual tours for, you can do that as well. Unfortunately, I don't have any listings of my own to look at. But if I had any in here, I can actually add in virtual tour links now. That's pretty cool.
I
On
missed,
the top as well,
where did you get that app?
this is under site and app settings.
And that's in
Yeah,
consumer?
it's under general. Yeah, and that's under this consumer applet here.
Oh, it's under general.
Yep.
I don't seem to have a general.
If
Is
you
it-
scroll all the way down, you should be able to see it. Ooh, and it looks like they added additionally, you have the ability to enable or disable the Keller mortgage and Keller covered links.
And that's on the landing pages?
This will be on your agent site.
Oh,
So
on
if
eight.
I go into that, I'll show you exactly where it looks. Okay, so in addition to some of the more general settings, you do have your URLs here. So you can see I can also customize my subdomain. They did add an option for custom domains here recently, but it's currently locked. So I assume eventually you'll be able to connect with either like a GoDaddy domain, or if you purchased a domain somewhere else as like a personalized domain, you'll be able to connect that as well. Currently, you can use it for forwarding, but I guess within Command, you'll also have the ability to do like a mask. That's something I'll probably go over at the point where they actually introduce that, but I'm not going to be too worried about this right now. With subdomains, you can change this. It always defaults to the one you currently had with Playster, but you can always go back and change this at any point if you wanted to. Then right underneath that, you have your app URL, which you can use to promote your app. Now, this was one of the things that they added probably a couple weeks back. It's the featured listings tab. And I found this to be really awesome because now what I can do is I can start putting in listings that I want to feature on my website. So I just removed the ones I had. Now, let's say we want to add in some of my new listings or listings that I'm currently helping promote, because I know some agents work together on listings and they like to have the ability to have those featured on their website. So right here, the first thing you have to do is just put your headline in, which I just did as featured listings. Now, if you go to where it says selected listings, I can go to select. And from here, I can select either my own from my list, or I can do all listings and I can just kind of search by a property address. Off the top of my head, I can think of one right now, 7400 River Road. And we can use this as just an example. I'll hit done. And right now it's, let's get rid of the other ones here and I'll hit save changes. So what I did was I selected the listing from that list as you saw, and I added it to my website. So it should be there. Let me see if it's there. Yeah, so you notice here now I have a little feature listing section. They have recently added that, as I mentioned. I thought that was really cool. So now agents who are asking to have some of their listings featured, you can use that now. I believe they have a section under the Kelly guide as well, which I'll go through in just a second. In addition to that, we have themes. These I don't think actually will affect your website's aesthetic just yet. I haven't noticed anything being changed when I did either red or dark. So unless you're using none of the custom logos like your DBA or anything, I don't think this will affect your website too much currently. Site pages I'll go into in a little bit as well, but this is where you can manage the pages that will appear on your site. So let's get started with just the Kelly guides. So if you hit learn more with Kelly guides, this is going to give you a pop-up and it's going to ask you which Kelly Guide do you want to complete? So right now you have two different options. You have the agent site and consumer settings. So for agent sites, this is where you can essentially build a agent site. If you haven't done it before, this kind of walks you through the process step by step. For consumer settings, there isn't too much within consumer settings you can edit right now, besides those the buyer seller guides, which I'll go over in a little bit. But I will show you through the app itself just how that interacts with the actual app, if I was looking at it through a consumer point of view. But before I do that, I'm going to just start with the agent site right now. I'm going to hit continue. And we are going to leave site. So let's go ahead and do that. And just make sure there's some people waiting in here. I saw some person in there. All right, so what I'm going to do is go through this Kelly guide. And again, if you haven't done this before, basically what this guide helps you do is get your website kind of off the ground. So it's going to give you the ability to change your subdomain, fill out your marketing profile, which again, if you recall from the beginning of when I started, that's typically what I'll do first before I get into anything. Because once you have that filled out, you really don't have to do it again. And you'll notice when I'm doing this and when I'm putting two pages together, it's just going to auto populate the information from that guide, which is awesome. So again, it's going to say like, what you can expect to get out of this guide, choosing my domain, theme and styling, and then page creation. We're going to go ahead and hit get started. And it's going to let me know about my compliance reminder. Or hit acknowledge and continue. Now, again, I can choose my subdomain here as well. So if I wanted to change this, I can just kind of type in whatever I wanted, hit confirm domain, and I would typically keep that saved unless somebody else had it. Then you go down to here where it says marketing profile info. And again, that's what I mentioned before. As long as we filled that out previously, this is just going to auto populate anyway. So again, it's going to have information about myself, my market center. Then I go into some of the other details like my team or business name. I get this question a lot with this particularly. What you should put there as a solo agent and as somebody who's not on a team. If I was not on a team, typically I would just have it look like this. And the reason why is if I go onto my agent site again, just to show you, you'll notice on the top, there's a kind of like a taskbar there and it has my name. So if you didn't fill this out, it's just going to say your agent. So I wanted to have it a little bit more customized to myself. So I added my name and I added the market center that I'm with. So if you're not on a team, that's typically what I suggest putting there, because then a lot of the times it just defaults to your agent. And I find that to be a little bit confusing when I see that. So I just put my own name there. And then you'll notice when you hit the drop down menu, it has all those different pages I created, which I'll go into in this little bit. Anyway, let's go back to the Kelly guide. I'm just going to X out of that. So we're back in the Kelly guide. Again, it's going to walk me through the marketing profile, my bio. You do need to have a bio in there. So if you don't have a bio right now, I would probably just suggest putting maybe like your preferred areas of coverage. Maybe you have specific towns you want to cover. Maybe you're specializing in a specific type of home, residential, commercial, luxury. Put whatever you feel would be the best kind of suited to your business. All right, so if we move down, you're going to have a few optional things here, like your license number, market center number, office and compliance. Some areas of the country do require some additional documentation. I believe New York City does now. So you have to provide additional links in regards to the compliance. So that's why they have this here as a compliance legal footer link. I'm not going to worry about this right now. Images as well, you can see. Then it goes down into some of the imagery like my headshot, market center logo, team logo if I had one, and then it goes into my social media accounts. and then my app link. All that's going to be filled out. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit save and continue. And when I hit save and continue, if you recall before I mentioned this style and theming, I don't think it's going to have too much of an effect on your website currently. So whichever one you prefer. Homepage text, that's going to be this hero text here. That's what they call it. Basically just saying do your NJ home searches here, something a little bit more eye-catching. I think by default it says your dream home awaits, something like that. And again, I'm just going to be making sure I'm letting people in. So if I minimize it, sorry about that. Hero images, those are going to be your background images. A lot of agents ask me about this. Yes, you could change them out. You can do up to 5. And I do highly recommend it's a high-res image because this is going to be something that you can have displayed on a TV. You can have it displayed on a phone, computer monitor. Nowadays, a lot of people are using high-def computers with high-def images. So just kind of take that into account when you're uploading your own. You can see here they recommend a 1200 by 1200 pixels. That's pretty big. And it's a nice high resolution for the web. All right, so you see here I got those nice defaulted ones. I'm going to keep those. Hit save and continue. The last set of steps is going to be customizing my site's content. So basically what type of pages I want to have on my site. As you can see, it always defaults firstly with a company profile. I get this asked a lot, like what I should be putting there. I usually think of this as a page that I can put some of my services perhaps. Maybe I provide like a staging service, or perhaps I want to just put like a kind of like an example of some testimonials or information more about myself, could be something like that as well. But with here, you do have a few different steps. So the first thing you'll notice is a navigation step, which is basically going to ask me like where on the website I want this to live, like in the order, like the hierarchy. So you can kind of like move this around depending on how you want it to appear. Then you have here search engine optimization. This is going to be basically like how you have Google ranking your website. So SEO descriptions is basically going to be keyword specific to have Google kind of pick it up on the search engine results. So basically what that means is if I was going to be specifically covering Bergen County or specific towns in Bergen County, those might be things I want to add into my SEO description. And you can get pretty deep into SEO descriptions. Usually what I would suggest doing is I can send like a help article for that, because there are websites now that do give you like nice examples of like what to do for SEO. But with the KW websites specifically, they don't let you get too advanced with it. So having a nice little description there would still help. And again, if anybody had questions about that, just feel free to shoot me an email. I can kind of go into it a little bit more deeper. But every page on your website will have the ability to customize that. Then with the last step is the content. And as I mentioned here, the content for this particular page will kind of be laid out this way. Header, which is this. Intro paragraph, which is this, and that's basically just kind of introducing what's the content in the page. Section headline, description, and then you have an image. So it's basically laid out in 3 particular steps. And as I mentioned, I'm going to skip this one just because for me at least, to kind of go through it, it'll take a little long. So we're just going to skip that for now. Now, as far as the other additional pages, there's an About Me and then a Contact page. So with the About Me page, as you can see, it does kind of auto-populate it based on the information I provided previously with my marketing profile. So I have my page title, which is About Me, what my title is here, which is my job title. Bio is going to ask me like, what do I want to call this kind of like bio intro? I just put about myself. Nice little, nice little straight to the point. Then I have my bio, which I just copy and pasted from my LinkedIn, which was nice enough to auto generate for me as well. So this is my LinkedIn bio, nice little description of different things I've done. Then it has my contact information here. So you'll notice throughout your website, your contact information pretty much lives on every page, which is great. So in any case, anybody visiting your website will always have access to either your email, your phone number, and your MC information as well, and your social media, if you want them to. All right, cool. So if we hit continue again, the last step is going to be my contact page. And this is basically just like a lead capture form. And the nice thing about these particularly is I can add more than one to my page, and I can kind of make it themed to different things. So in this case, I can say maybe I want to create like a home valuation page. So I can use the contact form template, and we can use that as a way to just have people fill it out for information about their home. So in this case, it's just defaulted to a contact me. But like, for example, if I want to change the headline to say like, what's your home worth, I can do that as well. Ooh, and I'm like typing really bad today. So what's your home worth? And you can say like, fill the form below for a quick consultation. And then it can fill this out. You can also put a defaulted message here as well, as you can see. So it's saying like, are you looking to buy or sell? What's your time frame? What are you searching, and what's your budget? So again, this can be also changed depending on what type of form I want it to be. In this case, it's always, as I mentioned, defaulted to a contact form. And that will be how you can also capture lead information. If you've ever captured leads either through your website or your consumer app, you do get a notification through the Kelly app and through Command. So Command does notify you when you have a lead signing into your website, which is awesome. So if I hit save and continue now, basically, it's going to give you this message here. What's next? It's going to say your website will automatically launch on October 1st, which you do have a few months away before that happens. Just kidding. Your websites are already activated. This message hasn't been changed. So basically, it's just an outdated message. Don't be alarmed if you see October 1st. You don't have to wait till fall. Your website will be good to go.
Immediately?
Yeah. So they just haven't changed this message for whatever reason, but your website will essentially be good to go as soon as you hit that last save and continue button. Some other things I also like to mention here, they do have some nice information on KW Connect. So if you're looking for just like an FAQ with like questions, or if you want to just kind of go through some of your settings here, we can go directly back to Command, as you see, and we can go into my site and app settings and kind of micromanage some of those things we just did. The one thing you notice I didn't actually go into is feature listings. So under feature listings, that's something you can actually go through the Kelly Guide with on the consumer settings. So that's the next thing I want to do. Once I go through the consumer settings, I'm going to actually share my phone screen so you can see the app and just kind of get a feel for what it does through the app. But let's go ahead and do the Kelly Guide real quickly for the consumer settings. As I mentioned, it's not too insane with the settings you can switch right now. It's basically the guides, and there's some additional things in there as well, like the feature listings. Let's go ahead and hit continue here. And if you didn't see what I did, let's just actually go back real quickly. I'm going to go to consumer, site and app settings, and then I'm going to go where it says learn more with Kelly Guides. And I'm going to go here where it says consumer settings, and I'm going to hit continue. All right, so we're going to leave. We're going to go into consumer settings. And again, with the Kelly guides, the user experience is very similar across the board. So basically, the first thing it's always going to do, it's going to say like what you can expect to get out of the guide. Nice little onboarding sequence here. If we get started, it's going to bring us to the first step, which is basically going to give us some of the educational materials, like how to get the most out of my app. Oh, and yeah, by the way, there is a smart plan in here. I forgot that they have that. But basically, it helps you set up the smart plan to have this promoted. Anyway, it's going to say creating a premium app experience, managing your client relationships on the go, and then sharing your app with your clients. So that's basically what we're going to get out of this Kelly guide right now. Let's go ahead and hit next. Okay, so you see here on the left, it's going to be a nice little preview of that consumer app landing page. And that's when you're sending out your app link, that's essentially what it brings your client to. It's this nice little landing page, already pre-generated. You don't have to create anything. And it's going to be branded with your information, which is awesome. So here you'll notice on the right, there's a little arrow there, just kind of leading you to that setting. We're going to hit that. And the only thing here that you can actually change is this message here, which is the hero text. Now with this in particular, I haven't really noticed where it appears because I've changed this before and it doesn't change it on anything that I can find. But in any case, you could fill this out. Somebody asking a question? All good. You'll have your app URL here, which is your app, essentially where you can send it. And that is also a landing page here. Then there's a text code. Now, I haven't really used this too much. And in my experience, I always just found it easier to use the app link in general. So you do have a text code if you prefer. As I mentioned, I think the app URL is a lot easier. So go with the app URL. Let's click out of that. So again, the second feature here is featured listings. We can click this. So as you can see, I did have a listing selected. I think it's not letting me select any additional ones because I already selected one to use. But basically what I can do from here is I can toggle this on, and you want to make sure this is toggled on. I've encountered an error before where if this isn't on, it doesn't let you select listings going forward. So just make sure that's turned on. Again, you can change the title here. I put featured listings. I can select listings that I want to have featured right away. And I think I'm unable to select any because I already have one selected right now, but we can always go back through the site and app settings and select more. So once you're done with that, we can go ahead and hit next. Oh, and by the way, with the feature listings, you can have up to 12. So that's quite a lot. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and hit start here. And we'll hit next, save and continue. So step 3, this is where we can build out our guides. And you're gonna notice here, we have a setup sequence. Basically, it's going to show you my timeline or my introduction rather. Here it's showing you, hey, congrats on starting your home selling experience. And this introduction is basically something I can also customize. If we go to setup here, we can choose the template we want to edit first. Let's do the buyer guide. We're not going to do the seller one because it's essentially the same exact process, but I want to just give you an idea of how it goes through if you're doing it through this Kelly guide. So if we hit buyer guide and then we hit next, that's going to take me again into this kind of like introduction paragraph. Hey, congratulations on your home buying process. this timeline will kind of guide you through the whole steps. And you can edit this as well if you want to. Hit next. All right, so here is the guides that you can currently build out. And these are the ones set up by default. I don't think you'll have this one in there by default just yet, but I'm going to show you how you can make that. It's the affordability calculator. And basically that's something that would live in the guide and also on your website. I thought it was pretty cool. Sorry, my nose is like itchy right now too. It's so annoying. But anyway, here's the defaulted guides. You have your buyer guide steps. Now, if I want to add or rearrange, there's a little kind of icon on the right-hand side here, which allows me to kind of drag and drop it. If you click this little arrow here, as you can see, you can also edit the titles. You can edit the subtitle information, and then you can also add the image. So the only thing you won't be able to edit here in particular, there is like a more expanded kind of detail section inside of the guides. And I'll show you where you can edit that in just a second. But let's go back. Oops, sorry. We'll go back here. Close that. Now you'll notice here I have quite a few steps, and I can also add steps if I wanted to by hitting add step. And I can also delete a step if I wanted to. And this is the preview of it. As you can see, we can hit next. And I like this as well. It kind of gives you an expanded view of all the steps involved. Really cool stuff. So basically, once you do that, you can also do the seller guide, which again, I'm not going to go all the way through, but I'm just going to kind of breeze through that real quickly. So if you're doing the buyer guide, you can also do your seller guide, and it's the same exact process. The selling guide has quite a few less steps, but you can kind of get an idea here what steps are also involved for the selling side. Then we're going to go ahead and hit next. So then the last step in here is setting up my promote my app smart plan. So basically what the smart plan will do, it's going to send out an email, which will allow anybody that you're sending it out to be able to download your app. And the template for the actual email itself is really nice. You don't have to do anything. It's just going to set it up for you automatically with your information. And if you go down to the step 2 and 3, it's going to be a couple of text messages. If you do have Twilio installed on your command, it's going to send out this information automatically. So in this case, if you wanted to edit these steps, I'll show you how you can do that. But basically from here, it's going to just send out the text message automatically. And you'll notice that it's spread over the course of 5 days. So day 1, it's going to send out the email. Day 2, it's going to send out just a reminder text. And then the third step, which is day 5, which is 3 days later, just another an additional text message. Pretty cool stuff. Now, once you have this turned on, you'll notice that it has that little green button there. You can also add people to this, which I can do from here directly. Now, if I hit next, it's going to say your app is ready to go. We're good to go. Awesome. You can see here, I can also see additional kind of like marketing strategies. You can share the app with your sphere on social media. You can create a nice little neighborhood video. If you've ever been in any of my classes previously, I've done the videos. They're really cool. And you can do additional advertising because there is a lot of campaign driven stuff in here as well. And basically from here, you're good to go. You can click this little X on the top, and that will take me back into my consumer settings. Now, I mentioned before with the consumer settings, you can also manage your guides in here. You can also manage your feature listings through here. As you can see, I just have the one, but I can add additional ones. Let's just go to the guide builder real quick, because I mentioned that affordability calculator, and you're probably wondering what it is or what it does. So the way that you add the affordability calculator to your guides, we're gonna click this little button here where there's like a pencil. And we have this one here, it says, what can you afford? I'm actually gonna delete this. We're gonna start from scratch. So let's go ahead and create that guide step. Let's scroll down to the bottom here. And there's gonna be a button that says add a step. Now this is important. We're not gonna create a custom step. We're gonna select a default step. So let's go ahead and select that. And it's gonna ask you, select a step from the list. Now you really only have one, you have one option available. That's the only one we can select. So we're gonna hit, can I afford? Continue. And you'll notice here right on the bottom, it creates the new guide step, which is what can I afford? I'm just gonna drag it up to the top here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and drag it to the top. There we go. And I'm gonna save that. Let's go ahead and hit save changes. It's probably not gonna let me because I already had that step there before. But basically, I've created a new guide step, which will allow a consumer who's either visiting my website or my consumer app to be able to kind of see what exactly they can afford based on a few different parameters. Let me share my app screen with you. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. And let me turn on my AirPlay. If you were in my class, one of the previous classes, I had some issues with this thing. Let me see if I can share that. Install this plugin real quick. All right. And we're gonna go into my screen. And if you can just let me know you see my screen from my phone, that'll be great.
Yes.
Cool, awesome. All right, so let's go into my consumer app now. Now I'm gonna just log out real quickly. We're gonna log out of my app because I wanna just show you from the very beginning how this appears when a consumer is first downloading your app. So when your consumer first downloads the app, they're going to be greeted with a screen like this. So it's basically going to say, hey, signing up or logging in lets you do your home searches, create collections, access insights, and more. So the one question I get quite frequently from the agent point of view is, how do they log in? So you got to think of it as if you're a client and you're a client logging into this. So you're not logging in with your regular KW details. You're actually using a completely separate login. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend I'm a new person signing up. I'm going to go to sign up. And then I would just fill out my information, which I'm not going to do because I already have an account. But I basically would fill out my info, email, password that I want to create, and then I would hit sign up. And then I would be able to access the app. Let's go ahead and just pretend I'm logging in here. So log in. And I'm back in my home screen. You'll notice on the top also it says agent site notification. The really cool thing about this app is that it notifies you when a customer logs into your app, and you get notified through the Kelly app. So basically when somebody connects with you through the app, any sort of activity that they do, whether it be through creating like a save search, or they created a collection, or they're going through the guide, you'll notice that you'll have those activity steps logged in your command database. Really cool stuff. So just real quickly to go over some of these things here that you see on the bottom. If you haven't been in the app before, you probably won't recognize these. I'm sure you have been at this point. Right now I'm in my search menu here and I'm looking in Richmond. So you'll notice here if I'm doing like any sort of searches, I can do it based on location. I can do it, where I'm currently located. And I can just kind of search based on any type of location I'm looking for. Here's Fort Lee. You'll notice that there's also blue barriers around the locations. That's the neighborhoods. And in this case, the one I'm currently located in is called Linwood Park. Here's just an example of one of the listings there. You can see I have some information about the property, market stats, and then I can also see like what the locals are saying, commute times, school districts, any upcoming open houses, mortgage payments, and you can schedule video tours. Here are the views, and then it gives you some nearby properties as well. MLS source, Austin BOR, interesting. Definitely not in Austin, but all good. We're gonna close that out here. So that's the listing search, as you can see. You can also do something really interesting by searching a landmark or a location. So if I'm looking for like a hospital as an example, Holy Name Hospital, you'll notice that it locates me right where the hospital is, but then it gives me the listings around it. So I think that's a really cool little value add to your customers. So if they're looking for a property that's specifically located near a hospital or a church or perhaps their favorite restaurant, they can use that as a landmark search and they can find listings right around that area, which is pretty cool. Now the feed here, this is going to be really awesome. As you can see, they actually started making some updates to it. So you can see like when I updated my guide for the customer, they can view some of their saved searches if they had one created for them. Collections, right now I don't have collections created for the customer, but if I did, they can actually view them through here. You'll also notice within the guides, they can view the guides that I've been updating. And right next to feed is actually guide. So you can see the guides and here's some of the steps. Now, you remember before we created that what can I afford step? If I click on that, you'll notice here what I can do is I can choose a location. Pagoda. Now you'll also notice that I can look through my purchase type, primary home, vacation home, investment property. And you'll notice here I can select my annual income. Let's just say I'm making, definitely not that much. Let's say I'm just making like a modest amount here. We'll just put like 100K, something like that. Little fussy with the touch controls, but all right, we'll put that. That's good. Monthly debt, that's where you can put the amount of money that you're spending per month on your debt. Let's just say it's that. And then it gives you like an affordability calculator here, what I can afford based on the amount I'm making, if I'm going to be stretching that, or if I'm going in super aggressive. And also you'll notice that it says on the bottom here, 33 matching homes in this area. I believe you can also select, let's see. It doesn't show me those listings in the area, but anyway, you can see here my monthly or potential monthly payments, down payment information, insights, and right now it's giving me locations within Texas. Interesting. But basically, this is going to help you kind of calculate what you can afford based on some of that information I provided. Thought that was really cool. Let's get out of that real quick. All right, so a couple additional things, and then I'll start kind of wrapping up here. Saved, this is just going to give you an idea of any recent collections I would have created. Another thing that's also really cool, if I go here where it says view all, you'll notice that I can also see the feature listings that were created by the agent. So if I go into feature listings, I can actually view that listing that the client or the agent created. And if I did something like save, let's just save this into my favorites, save that. That will now be part of their saved collections, which I can then go back and view later on. Pretty cool stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and get out of that.
So the collections are all the ones that you listed in the beginning that you put on the page?
Correct.
And how many of those are you allowed to put on?
With the feature listings, you can have up to 12.
But what about the recent collections?
So the recent collections, this is what the client is viewing. So basically, like I created my own kind of like little collection as a
Oh,
client. So you see it says like Chris's favorites.
okay,
These are just properties I would have went through at some point and favorited as a client.
okay.
You'll notice it's like Jersey City and a few different other ones here. So the client can create their own little collection there. It's pretty cool.
Still don't have the taxes on there, right?
Not yet, unfortunately.
Oh my
I
gosh,
think that's something that they are working on. My last tech huddle, they mentioned that, so
good.
they're coming. All right, and then the last thing here is more, and that's basically just going to have some of the settings. In this case, I can view the profile for the agent I'm connected with, which is myself. I can additionally, I can do things like share this app. Now, if you're just an agent who is installing the consumer app to share with your clients, basically what I did was I connected with myself as the agent. I then am able to share this in a text message. I can put it on an email blast. I can do whatever I want. Keller Covered, Keller Mortgage. There's some information about that. Now, one thing that's kind of hidden that I also really like, if I go to my account, there's a section here called Places. And if you have a customer who might be interested in a particular, or let's say they're going to be commuting to New York. In this case, I created Penn Station as a featured location, as like a point of interest. So if I wanted to add places, let's just say I'm looking to find out how long it takes me to get to Holy Name Hospital. Just off the top of my head, it's the only thing I can think of right now. Holy Name Medical Center. Now, if I go back, let's just get out of this real quick. And we're just going to go into one of these listings over here. Actually, let's go a little farther away. We're going to go down to Bergenfield here. Click this. Let's click that one here. All right, so we're in Bergenfield. Now you're going to notice when I scroll down, there's going to be a section here for places, so commuting times basically. So you can see here how long it's going to take me to drive to Holy Name or Penn Station, how long it would take me to bike there. And then if I'm really feeling up to it, if I want to walk, you have some walking times as well. And if you click on the drive times, there's like a little option there, those three little dots. You can also get directions, which would bring up your Google Maps. In this case, it's not letting me open it. It's all right, but essentially you would have access to your either Apple or Google Maps. And that's basically what I wanted to go over with the app. Was there any other questions in regards to anything? Because we are kind of like winding down now, so I want to be able to kind of answer any questions anybody might have.
So can you just quickly show me one more time where you add in pages? Like if you want to do a page of, let's say I want to do my causes.
Yeah.
I've put a page on my website for that.
Okay. So if I'm going to share my my screen again here, I'm going to go down to consumer. And if I'm in consumer and I go to create a new site, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the option here. It says on my agent site. I'm going to hit create. And then it's going to take me to this canvas here, which is basically just a blank sheet of paper, if you want to call it that. And let's say I want to create we're going to do, we'll just pretend we're going to do like a home valuation form. What I want to do is I want to select this widget, which is just contact form. I'm going to drag it in. And here's the widget. We're going to hit configure. And where it says contact, I'm going to hit that. And where it says contact us text, I'm just going to select what's my home worth. And I'm going to put in the contact us body text here. Find out what your home is worth today. Fill out the quick form below. Message placeholder, which is basically this, I can change out as well. I'm going to toggle that so it has my cell there. Then I'm going to hit save and apply. So now I've created this page. I'm going to just hit save changes. We're going to hit yes. Now, before I can have this page appear on my website, I need to go to Site and App Settings. And under Site and App Settings, right on the last here is Site Pages. And you're going to notice here I have quite a few. I'm going to actually delete some of these. Let's just delete some. Okay, just make it a little cleaned up. So if I wanted to add that home valuation page that I just created, I'm going to go to where it says Add Page. And it's going to appear in this list here, as you can see. It says Home Valuation. I'm just going to click that and hit Continue. And for page title, I'm going to put what's my home worth? Slug, this is just a URL slug. We'll put what is my home worth? That's basically how it appears as a URL, as you can see. And then my SEO description, again, I can put some information there as well. Home value in county or whatever. Something like that. I'm not going to go too deep into that right now, but I'll hit Save Page Changes. And then what that's going to do, if I go back to my website now, it's going to add that page to my website. And you'll notice that it's right here. So it's saying, what's my home worth?
Okay.
Now, if somebody filled this out, it's going to be essentially a lead capture. So if I just did one as an example here, put in and then we'll just put what is my home worth? Totally screwed that up. All right. I'm not a robot. Send message. And it says, thank you, your information has been submitted. Now what that's going to do, I got a Kelly guide pop up saying that I had a new lead info captured. Now, if I go back, what was that?
Where did that pop up?
It on my phone. So
Oh,
I got a Kelly notification. Now, what also you'll notice on the top here, you do have notifications through here as well.
okay.
And this will also be captured as a notification. I'm just going to dismiss it.
There's a red dot there. We know
Yep.
we have a notification.
Also, let's just go back to my dashboard real quickly. On my dashboard, if I scroll down, there's a section here for leads, which it looks like, where did mine go? Oh, here we go. Recent leads, you'll also notice here it says KW landing page, which means they would have been captured from either a website, my KW landing pages, or my consumer app. In this case, it's the landing page from my website. So that's a new lead. If I click on them now, you're going to notice that they have a little L next to their name. It's also putting a note in there. So it's the note's essentially saying, what's my home worth? And I just created a awesome little kind of like retention. So now I can follow up with John, say, hey, you know, I saw you had submitted some information on my website to find out what your home is worth. That's basically it.
So can I go a little bit more in depth and get a little crazy here and you tell me if it's possible?
What was it?
My dogs are going crazy over here. So we're doing, some people are doing QR codes for their
Yeah.
open house.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if I can create a landing page, let's say for that specific address on my, just for my edification, just for my information, where I can get all those leads in and then follow up with them. Is there a way to do that?
For sure. Yep.
Yes.
So let's just go into Google real quick. I'm gonna go QR code generator. So here, if I go to QR code generator, you can typically just type that in and it's the first thing that pops up. Now, that website that we would have created, let's say, for example, it was a landing page. And it's this one here, let's just say 226 Harrison landing page. Basically, it's a landing page for this property, right? Now, if I copy this, under the QR code generator, if I just type in this address or paste it in, it's going to create a QR code specific to that that property address landing page. You can literally scan this right now. It's going to go to it. But that's how you would do it.
Okay. And that, if the customer comes in and scans that, that goes right to that landing page. But
Yep.
is there also a source I can go right to call them and say, let's say they're waiting in the car and I have to say, okay, it's your turn to come in.
Yep.
Do that too?
That's a good question. It might be something more so with maybe like an event calendar. I can look into that a little bit more.
Okay.
I think it would be something like where if you're scheduling appointments with them and you're giving them like a very specific time frame, perhaps it might be something more so you can create with like a calendar invite. So like as an example, perhaps like I'm going to use my Calendly link. And I'm going to say, okay, like here's my calendar. Scan this QR code to choose the time to come into this open house. Perhaps I have it set up for like 1 to 2 or 3. And I'm giving everybody like a 15-minute window. So basically I would say something like, okay, scan this QR code, go to the website, put in the time that works best for you. And you'll get a notification like 5 minutes before that your appointment's almost ready. Could be something to.
And that's Calendly, CAL.
Yeah, I use Calendly specifically, but like you can use any sort of calendar perhaps. I like Calendly a lot though because it creates like a Zoom link for me as well.
Okay. Is this so would I be able to do it in like an iCal?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I believe with iCal you can create like a link that you can use.
You may have to talk me through it when the time comes.
Yeah, we can set up like a one-on-one type of thing for that.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that really kind of goes into what I wanted to cover. And I'm going to post this on YouTube a little later today. So if anybody wanted to rewatch this, I'll have it posted there. But otherwise, that would be it. And hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Monday.
Stay safe.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.